objectives on our recent trip to Ireland was to meet up with my friend Kyle of Lir Whistle fame, and we did. We ended up at a great session in Killala, met up with some fantastic young trad players. Their whole band was there, a group called For Folk's Sake. Great name, give them a follow, their information's down below. Great players all. And then we did a gig, Sternwellers. We had a gig and it seemed like it went pretty well. I hope it went well. We met a bunch of folks from YouTube, which was just wild. That was really cool. And while we were in Mayo, we got to hang out with Kyle and have a chat about the future of Lir Whistles and some things they've got coming down the pike. Got to tour their factory, which is great. I'll get to all that at the end of the video. I know really everybody's here to talk about this, the new hotness, the Lir Low D. Let's get after it. First impressions, the first word that comes to my mind, oddly enough, is the word relief. It's just pleasant. It's a pleasant experience playing this thing. The tone is nice, the volume is nice, the weight and the balance and the feel of it under my hands. The finger spacing, it all just fits. And I think that's because this is the product of evolution. That's one of the things I think that makes Lir so successful, is that they're willing to innovate and they're willing to improve things that are already good to start with, find that next step, and that's, I think, what we've got here. Let's talk a little bit about history of this instrument here, and if you really dig through my channel, you'd be able to find a review video that I did on the previous incarnation of this whistle. This is it here, and it was an early pre-production model that they shipped to me to give my thoughts on, and my thoughts were that it sounded nice, but there were some oddities, like the intonation was off, and they went back to the drawing board, and that's where we landed on this, and it's night and day different, both from a performance standpoint, but also from a professionalism standpoint. It feels serious. One of the things that you get out of a professional low whistle that you can't really even get out of a professional high whistle is a little bit of control of tone. With the high whistle, here's the Lir high whistle for example, it's such a small area, you can't focus your face enough to really project the air in any different way, any different direction other than just through it, basically, as best you can. You know, as a flute player, one thing that I miss in whistles is that you don't have that much control over the tone. You kind of get what you get with a high whistle. And the reason for that is because the end of this thing is very small. You don't have a lot of space. You can't squish your face enough to contort it to project the air any differently than just kind of just straight through. And you get what you get. And that's why you get a whistle that has a tone that you like. With a low whistle, you have a bit more, or you can potentially have a bit more control, because the mouthpiece, the part that you're actually blowing into, that area is significantly larger. So for example, we can play what I would consider just a basic off-you-go kind of tone. And you hear it's got a bit of raspiness to it, but you can control that. You can kind of embouchurize a little bit. You hear how it kind of shapes just ever so slightly. You get a little bit more flexibility and versatility with it than you would with really any other low whistle that I'm familiar with. If we look at the mouthpiece closely, and hopefully this comes across in video, you can see the level of precision. Hopefully you can see the level of precision required to make these all line up so well. You really have to kind of bend the light just to even see the fact that this is two pieces. You definitely can't really feel it. It feels like a single thing. Likewise, the blade here, looks like it's all just perfectly matched to the whistle. It just fits. There's no looseness to it. There's no bit of vagary to it. It's all just very, very solid. It is fully tunable, and you actually have quite a bit of breathing room here. With any whistle, the further out you go, the more you adjust it, the more likely you're going to run into intonation problems with the whistle itself. So you don't have a huge amount of room with all these, but if you're chasing somebody who's a little bit sharp or a bit flat, you definitely got room to catch them. This should be about right. Let's see how we do here. Yeah, right on the money. So you check the second octave here. Whew. Still gets loud even though it's a low whistle, that second octave. Very much in tune. And speaking of volume, you do get a fair bit out of this. Particularly in that second octave, you get a good bit of punch. Ooh, nice responsiveness there. You get really good control out of it, and you get a lot of volume without inefficiency. That's the thing that drives me nuts about low whistles more often than not, is you can just kind of hear that air getting lost. I don't really have that here. And part of that is because you have that flexibility to control the tone, I think. I can just force it to do what I want a little bit better. Yeah, really nice, solid amount of control. Now, full disclosure, I've mentioned this a fair few times on this channel. I don't really play a lot of low whistle because I play the flute, and it's kind of my default instrument. But I do have a few others that I've been fortunate enough to have sent my way, and one that I just bought about 20 years ago that I do play on occasion, so we can have a little bit of a comparison here. I don't think it's really of any value to compare the old Lir with the new whistle because, again, this was a pre-production model. It's not really ready for prime time, whereas the new one is. So we're going to put this one aside for the time being. The one that I play, or used to play at least somewhat regularly, is this Killian O'Brien, which I got in, I think, 1999 or 2000, something like that. And it has a similar concept as the Lir, where you've got a bit of a control over the airstream that you provide to it. You have a little bit of flexibility. Not quite as much, I would say, because this is way more flat. But I can focus it just a little bit. Howard, you might be familiar with. I did a review on this about maybe 6 months or a year or so ago. They take a bit of a different approach. What they do is they offer different head styles and different head responsiveness. This is the reed head. They have a balanced one that's a little bit more smooth. They also have a fairly narrow windway, so you don't have as much flexibility yourself, but they provide it in the different head styles. Just kind of a different way to approach that same embouchure type of an issue. Quick supercut of a tune here. I'm going to jump back and forth. You can see how they sound sort of in context. Now, having just run through that, the main thing that jumped out of me after all that repetition is the lower end. The lower end on this feels the most stable. It's the most reliable, and I don't have to worry about it as much. When I started this video, I started by saying the word relief. That's what I keep coming back to. I don't have to think as much, which that may or may not be a great thing, come to think of it, but I'm not spending my time thinking about how much air pressure do I need to apply, or am I going to make this octave jump, or is my tone getting a little out of control? No, it's a little bit more effortless. I just don't really have to think about it, which is kind of what I want out of one of these. I want to be able to just play. So brass tacks, we're talking about $233 euro, I think, which is about $250 US, give or take. I would say it's absolutely worth it for that. It's a professional instrument. If it's something that you're interested in playing and you're maybe blowing out your ears playing the high whistle, or you want to change a pace and you want to see what it's like, the world of low whistles, this is a great option for you. It's an instrument that would outlive you. I mean, it's a serious piece of kit, and it's probably the last one you'd have to buy. Be aware that a lot of the praises that I've heaped upon this whistle are probably more personal things to me. The balance and the feel of it and the finger spacing and all that. It fits me really well. That's not to say it's going to fit you like a glove. I would say it's worth a shot because it's a pretty good deal for a fantastic instrument, and I bet if it doesn't, you'd find somebody who would be more than happy to take it off your hands for you. So I would say definitely give it a shot because it's a serious bit of kit here. It really does sound great. They've done a lot of evolution with this, and I'm happy to say I got to witness it, and I'm happy to get to try it out for sure. Keep an eye on this channel. There are new things coming down the road from Lir. We've got to spend a really good amount of time in their factory watching the whole process. They've got a new whistle in the works, whole different design, and it's exciting. It sounds great, it plays great. I'm looking forward to getting to try out a final production model, because what I got to see was a little early in the process, but I'm glad to get to do so. And there's going to be a lot more information about that once it hits the airwaves, so to speak. Please do stick around, give me the thumbs up, the subscribe, all that nonsense, and I'll see you all in the next one. Cheers, guys. Bye-bye.